that's not good.
You know anything about anything that is possibly a little bent at the bend site?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Good morning, welcome back. We're hopping in the Geo. I'm really excited about today because Cooper has been on vacation for like literally the last 3 weeks. Now, I have hardly seen him at all. He's back down working in the shop right now. So we're gonna have a little bit of brother action, and what in the world? I guess we no longer have a door right there.
Never mind, Isaiah's here.
Oh, he's doing the door opening technique. Good. I'm really glad this bin was empty though, because that bin's full. When the stack of the semi caught the end right there and bent that forward, it pulled that away from the bin. So if we had corn inside there right now, it would just be dumping out on the ground, and it would keep dumping all the way until it filled itself up to that hole. So we have a pile like out to the truck, and there would be absolutely nothing we could do to stop it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little amazed that the stack of the semi was able to stay that strong to bend into this. It bent that whole railing. I guess that just shows how really strong that's not. Right under there, that gap, it goes right on the inside of the bin. If you go inside there, you can see daylight. Still some corn in there. Then this slide gate thingy is what blocks off the flow of grain from coming through here, and the bolts that hold it on the top side, look at that, it pulled it right completely through. So we would have been dumping grain up there. We also would have been dumping grain here. Like I said, I'm just glad it's empty. This was kind of a setup from the get-go because that's only 11 feet 2 inches off the ground. It's supposed to be 13.5 feet off the ground. And the reason why it's so low to the ground is because we have this ramp here. And we have this ramp here because the pit was built 4 feet out of the ground. The natural ground level over here is this. So that's all built up right there. So in order for us to get up to the top of the pit, we had to have the ramp, and then the ramp makes it where that is too close. So really that was just installed too low. Should have been installed a little higher. So it is what it is. Your new shirt?
No, it's the last clean work shirt I had.
Cooper got the rest of these row units all completely tore apart, so replacing all of these bushings on the closing units as well as these pins. So we're putting in new bushings on these parallel arms.
I got the whole other side done. I did just the top ones.
Did the bottom ones not look wore at all? Just the top ones, or?
Well, I had one row that this one was broke completely, and the 2 bolts are bad on the bottom.
Oh wow.
But I haven't run into, I mean, like here, those are old ones. Those are new ones.
You put the bolt inside of these bushings. Is there play around the bushing, or?
Yeah, there's movement. It's not like it's snug.
Yeah, you're right. Probably where the play's coming from then.
I mean, these aren't honed out by any means. There's a little play, but I mean, you could have a little tolerance, otherwise you'd have to press them all in.
Here's all the old bushings. We got the top 4 off on every single row. We have 147 and we need 192, so we're not gonna be able to do the whole planter. We just wanna be able to do it in a way where we don't lose track of what's been done or not.
You know, it's kind of like this. You take it into the mechanics and have them worked on it, and then you get the bill and you think, oh my, then when you're working on it yourself, you realize it takes a lot of time.
These parallel arm bushings are something I've personally never done before. I really didn't even know they were a thing until recently. I was just doing some 2 o'clock in the morning planter research on YouTube, and I found some stuff talking about parallel linkage arm bushings. I know that sounds bad, but there's really no manual when it comes to farming. So if you were never taught that by your grandpa or your dad or your great grandpa or your uncle or your brother or whoever you farm with, you really don't know about it. When this planter drops to the ground, this row will actually come up, so then these bars are parallel with each other. Every time the planter goes up and down, they pivot on those bushings. So if we get a bunch of play inside those bushings, then that ultimately translates down to where the seed is dropping into the ground. So if it has up and down wiggle, we're not staying at that consistent depth that we would want to. And if we have side to side wiggle, we're not planting in a straight line. We're going side to side, which once again would mess with the depth. And all of these bolts that we found so far, the threads have just been completely just worn off of them. So this is kind of like having a bushing out because it gives it more play around the bushing, so just more wiggle. For whatever reason, this side of the planter, basically every single row has a bolt that is just completely destroyed. The other side, there was only like 2. We also noticed that this lift cylinder, the seal is sitting on the bottom and it's dripping a little bit of oil. We got some on the floor. We have all of the closing wheel systems taken off the row, so each of these are just completely clean. We're gonna be putting them back on now with that new pin in place. I think Cooper got new lock washers, which they're not on right now. We just got the bolts sitting in here. And then we're putting in these new nylon bushings as well. So the pin and the bushings are what's being replaced. Start on the 16 row. Here, look at this. Ugh. No wiggle at all in those ones.
Is it the bushing or is it the
Bushing.
We did just a quick little glance at the 16-row planter. That planter, our closing wheel system, has a strap that comes right here, and then there's just 2 bolts that hold that strap onto this piece. So if this starts to get reamed out through here, you just take these 2 bolts off, replace that strap piece, and then this all stays the same. On this particular planter, this is all one unit. They cost $120 a piece to replace, at least for the modernized version of it. But our holes up here are completely reamed out. At $120 a piece for those, we're looking at $2,000 to do this entire planter just for those closing wheels. So Cooper had the idea, he's gonna go to a machine shop tomorrow and he's gonna bring just one of these metal pieces and he's gonna ask them just to make like from here forward and what the size of the hole should be. Then what we're gonna try to do is we're just gonna pull these off and then we're just gonna cut these with the grinder and then we'll just take the other ones, we'll put them on, and then Cooper will just weld this back up. If we can do that for, let's say, $500, well, brand new would be $2,000. We can save $1,500. We plant about 20% of our acres with this planter, so it's still important that we have everything up to snuff because that 20% is where our profit would come into play. So we want to be optimizing our profit. We did pull apart these top bushings on these parallel arms. Dad said they did the bushings on this one a few years ago, so when we're just inspecting everything else, once we get all that stuff off, it makes the row a whole lot lighter, makes it easier to wiggle around. We'll just do a nice inspection on every single one of those, and if there's one that has a lot more play, we'll tear it apart, we'll see if we need to get a new bushing in it. But this planter just plants beans, and that planter plants corn. I don't like being like, oh, it's just beans, it doesn't matter, you just throw them in the ground, they grow. Beans like what corn likes. I'm fully convinced of that. So the more we can make this planter as precise and smooth and nice as a corn planter, the better. This is probably a $15,000 planter, so we just kind of want to be a little careful. We don't want to be putting $10,000 into a $15,000 planter. If we were planning on keeping it for a long time, I would have no problem doing that because we bought it a long time ago. We know what it is. We've been the ones putting the wear on it. You know, we're comfortable putting that money into it. But the thing is, we would like to be upgrading planters, ideally next year, but I got a $440,000 quote on a new planter, the stuff we want on it, and I don't want to spend that on a new planter. In visiting with them, it sounded like if I ordered a new planter today, I would not get it for this season, and I probably would not get it for next season, so it would be the year after that. Then when we throw in like 9% interest rates, I think I'm just going to sit on my hands for a little bit. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to be running these 2 planters, so kind of what this one needs, we're going to give it. If I had to guess, I'd say we're probably going to be in that $2,500 to $3,000 range of repairs going into it this year.
You know, I'm from the old school yet. I like the simple tractor. I like the simple planter. But I know down the road it is nice with a bigger planter, the center fill. I guess for me right now running this one, it's okay. I still get to go out and enjoy planting. Sometimes we get in our head, we got to have all this high tech, we got to have, you know, faster, bigger, whatever. But these older planters and stuff yet, they do a fantastic job. They really do.
Thank you for putting up with the planter content. I know it's not the most interesting. It's interesting, but at the same time, it's kind of boring because it takes so long to put everything together. And it's like, let's get out and move some equipment here. That is coming extremely soon. But this stuff, the little nitty gritty fine details, the boring stuff is the incredibly important stuff. And these are the things that move our farm towards that next level. And we're learning things along the way to be able to get to that next level. And that is really our goal. We're trying to make the farm more efficient. We're trying to be able to get everybody in the family onboarded onto the farm. And so in order to do that, we need to just be better farmers so that way we can produce more, then we can make more, then we can help more, and then we can have a bigger impact. So really, all these little tiny intricate details go into the big picture. So thank you for tuning along. Be sure to check out the link in the description. We got the new Cornstar Farms merch. Other than that, that's all I got for today. See you in the next one.